I actually have a question about something I noticed yesterday.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, so we were only able to access like the seed file, which makes sense because all of our databases are local. So for the hackathon, should we have all of our information in the seeds file and not create it anywhere else? That way everyone can see it.
It does. I guess I
That
don't.
makes sense.
No, I mean, you can. So part of it, you're going to want to maybe like you don't necessarily have to have a seeds file for the hackathon. I think it's going to be useful for you to have a seeds file because then you can just easily populate your database. And then it's going to make, because part of what we're going to grade on is like your presentation. And if you present with like data that doesn't make sense, like you typed in like ASDF for all of your things and it's not really readable, like you're so the seeds file can be nice because you can go and populate some dummy data that looks realistic.
Mhm.
And then everyone has access to it. And then one person is going to demo.
Got
Like,
it.
does that answer? I don't know exactly quite what you were asking, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, sort of. What I was kind of getting at is like when we're like in the app, like if we were to just create a new, like I was using shoes, like if someone were to create a new shoe, it would only show up on their computer. Like if we pulled, we wouldn't see that.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that before. And I'm guessing it's just because we're not on like a shared um API or shared database besides what we have in that seeds. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. So the seeds file, because that runs, that's just pop, like the seeds file is nice because yeah, it's going to
Yeah,
create.
it's just default database.
Yeah. So it's going to populate your databases. So you could have like fake, like if you're using Faker that does like random names in your seeds
Yeah,
file, then your data is going to look different because like it's going to be random which names they're picking, which that's fine. You know, your data, the values of the data don't have to match for development.
yeah.
So, and then you're only going to be showing one anyway. So,
Okay, cool.
and yeah, so like just like that would be what's called like it's a you're kind of develop you have like this development you know this local development environment that you're developing on. So these it's like this idea of like environments. It's you are working on your development environment. And actually like if we look at like our gem file, you'll see these words a lot, like here's your development. There's maybe a potentially a test environment, and anything that's not in either of those is going to be like your all three. It's like your production environment. So you can kind of see there's going to be like these different environments that you're going to be developing on. And this gem file doesn't really have anything to do with databases, but and actually I could show you like the like you here's your databases. You're going to have like a development database. You could have a potentially like a test database, and then you could have like a production database. So you can have all these different databases, you know, and like your development one's going to be local on your computer. Like a production one's going to be like, that's the one you're going to be sharing. So for now, you can kind of just think everything's going to be development.
Okay.
Like environment. And like you can see that right here when we start our server environment development.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. So let's also just kind of review what we did. So we do have our home controller. Like we have this home, we have this bugs, We have an about page. We have this all set up in React Router. Let's go to Lucid chart and Figma. This is where like once you start working on projects that, you know, take multiple days or multiple weeks or multiple months, things like your Figma and your Lucid chart, these are really useful because it's just like, I mean, does anyone like remember what we did yesterday or did anyone just kind of completely forget what we're building?
That happens to me over the weekend.
Yeah, that happens to me over a night. Like I might have to like take like honestly 10, 20 seconds and be like, wait, what were we doing? What were the parts? What was the UI supposed to look like? You know, you can forget that stuff in a night. And yeah, a weekend for sure. So to have this diagram, you know, where I look at my bugs model. Oh yeah, my bugs has a name. It has a bug type. You know, these are strings. I have a treatment. My bugs has many, should be technically clear, call this treatments because that's the table name. Yeah, I have a treatments table that has a name, which is a string. It has a success rate. It's a float. We have that treatments belongs to a bug. So I have the foreign key, bug ID, and ID. And then I'm going to have this other like hospital table. Let's see if I can spell it right today. And then that's kind of like a bonus thing. So that helps just me like really get a clear, like, boom, load that into my, if I was like using a computer analogy for my brain, it's like I'm taking and it's weird because the word memory, I'm taking the things I remembered in storage and I'm loading them into my RAM in my brain. That's like what this does by looking at this. I'm taking it in that like slow brain, like what the hell did I do yesterday? And I'm putting it into my RAM. So it's like, I know what I'm doing. And we can like look at Figma. I mean, this is awesome because this says so much right here. Like, oh yeah, I want a home page. I need some buttons there to link. Then I have a bugs page where I'm going to individually show the bugs. There should be a new bug that takes me to my new form. There should be an edit bug, takes me to my edit form. When I click on a bug, that should take me to like a bug show page where I then list all the vaccines or the treatments for that bug. And then, you know, it's like, oh, I need to like have a form here to create a new vaccine and be able to like toggle this so I can edit the treatment or vaccine. Boom. You know, 2 to 5 minutes of looking at this and that, and like it's like I know, it's like, okay, the picture's just in my head, right? That's pretty useful, huh? Is everyone kind of like up to date, refreshed on what we're doing? It's a lot easier than, I mean, the other way to do it, and this is beneficial too. Another thing you can do is you can go to, in VS Code, you go to your source controller. Everyone has installed Git Lens, right? Because you need Git Lens to do this. So if you go to your pack extensions, Git Lens, that should say, like it should be installed. I don't have the blue word right there because it's installed. I think I did have you install this. But this can be nice too, especially maybe not for like projects that span over a couple of days, but what can be nice is I can go through and I can look at my commits. Like, man, what did I change? What did I do yesterday? I can kind of like, I did a lot of like smaller commits. So I can go through and I can compare like what was different. And, you know, I can actually now see, oh, who made a change? Steve? What did Steve change? Or what did Joe change?
I actually don't have this installed. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Yeah, so go search for Git. So go to this blocky thing, go to Git lens and just find it and then click the install button. And then you should be able to see like this like history. So this can be like a good way to kind of like, you look at like your commits from like the past day. And also, let me show you something else. So I'm just going to go to a file. I don't know if you've seen this yet. If you're doing yesterday, if you're kind of like looking at stuff. If I go to like my home, notice when I hover over a line, can you see that little gray? I can see who made the change.
Yeah, I can see that.
So like Steve added that, Joe added that. I did that 19 hours ago. So there's like the Git stuff. It's really like, especially once the projects get bigger, it gives you a lot of information. Because then like, you know, I come in here and I'm like, dude, who the hell did this? Like, why would they add this? I can kind of go in and like look at it. And then I can go like, hey, Joe, why did you add this? Or like, I could be like, or maybe I'm confused. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm a little confused what this does, but it works. How does this work? Who can I go talk to? Oh, Joe, how did you make this work? So it's like, it's this nice little history of like who's changed what. So Git is a very useful tool because it's keeping track of all of this, like the commits, who's making the changes, what changes are made, etc. And are you starting to like, these are my commit messages. So part of the reason you want to be descriptive is because maybe there's like a bug in your bugs controller, like there's an issue. And then maybe this says something about that. I could then go in and like, oh, that's where I actually added it. But you can go in and maybe, you know, find a specific issue. So cool. So one thing that we kind of got, I think where we got a little complete on yesterday, where we kind of actually started to do some code, was in our controllers. We got our bugs controller done, right? Pretty straightforward. And this might be something you want to do as a group. So with like our README and just kind of as loose instructions for the hackathon, like here's what we created: a Rails app, we created a React app, we did a third-party lib, we added all our third-party libs at the start. I think that can just get that out of the way. Then we created a DB, we tested. Then for our backend, we created our models, we migrated, we tested, we did our like seeds file. Then we created controllers and routes. And we kind of stopped here. So we're kind of like, we're kind of like halfway in this of filling out our controllers. And from our front end, you know, we did React router, we stubbed out our component, set up proxy. And like, if you want, there's a data provider. So now we're getting into potentially, I'm going to say like Saturday, but also like, if you want, kind of like, I'm going to call this divide and conquer. I'm going to say you can still just do this as a group. But what's the advantage of dividing and conquer if you break it up?
You
All of a
get through it a
sudden,
little
you get done
faster.
faster.
Yeah, it gets done faster. There's kind of it's not, I think starting out there's like when you're new, there can be a disadvantage because you have to do more with Git. You're kind of being like, you're kind of relying on other people to get stuff working. So it's a trade-off. But I think there can be some, if you want to get all the stuff done, I really think you're going to have to divide and conquer, but you're maybe taking a little gamble that you might be breaking stuff, but who knows? So I leave that up to you, but I'm going to kind of do it. I kind of want to show how it can be divided and conquered, right? So let's kind of just like, I'm going to like move this down here. So there's like the backend stuff. And I feel like backend stuff might just be easier to do as a group. It's pretty quick. Maybe I'll just leave this here. Just so, this might be, I'll kind of leave this note. It might just be something you do as a group, because then your backend's working. That can really be fine. But really, this can be split up. Like George could go do the bugs controller and Sally could go do the treatments controller. Right? Because we did the bugs controller yesterday, but let's just pretend, I don't need my point is here, I don't need the bugs controller to be done to start working on this, right? Do I?
No.
No, I don't. So let's go through this and let's just build it out. And now I can, like, if I'm doing this by myself, now I've really split up this task. Like I'm doing the treatments controller. That's the one thing I have to focus on. And then I can break this up into tasks of doing one method at a time, testing it and getting it working. So let's start with the index method. First of all, I have my routes set up, right? Localhost bugs do treatments. We did that yesterday. If I look at I can go to localhost 3001, Rails info routes. I can see all my routes that we've defined as a group. So what is the front end? Like if the front end wants to get, well, first of all, you tell me, like, what should this method do? Let's just say it in English, not worry about the code.
Just get all the
Should direct
treatments.
you to your index.
Sorry, what?
Oh, it should direct you to your index.
This method should direct me to my index?
It should load a treatment
Just-
list of all the treatments.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should give me all the treatment. Is that quite right? I could go back and like look at my UI.
It'd be treatments of a specific bug.
Yes, treatments of specific bug. What, and this is, I know this is like on the back end, but what is the Axios call going to look like for this? Like, we'll just get you started.
Axios.get.
Get what's going to go inside of here.
Would there be an async too?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that much detail. It's just like that one line. I really want to, like, what is this and that? Like, what's the verb and what's the path?
API.
The path
Path,
is
yeah,
going,
the path would be
yeah.
API, bugs ID, treatments.
And okay, let's say we don't know. This is an open, like, we don't have to like try to memorize this stuff. If you ever get lost or confused, and if you've set up your routes, where can you go look and see where your routes are?
That routes page on when you pulled it up on your
The info.
localhost 3001, that was telling you what the routes were.
Yeah, these are my routes.
So this one would be the second one down.
Yeah, bugs ID treatment.
So one of the, since yesterday, and this is part of the thing you get with testing, if you're doing small steps and you're testing, one of the things we did yesterday is we set up these routes and we checked them, right? And I asked you yesterday, these look correct. And you all said yes. I think so, or some of you said yes. So now like that's done, if I ever get like, if I'm on the front end or the back end and like, I kind of want to know what these methods are, I now have this like chunk that's completed that I can use as a resource. So if you ever forget, which, if you can't memorize that this is fine, but you can always go back to this, like this little thing that helps you out.
Could you theoretically just copy paste that?
In my routes,
Yeah, like since you're setting up your controller right now, could you? Well, no. never
I
mind.
don't know. This is my
No,
routes
'cause
are
you
already.
Yeah. You're right.
So I couldn't copy and paste it because I would have to like define them first and then,
Right.
and then it's not going to be the same format. It's close, but this is just me asking you, like, if you're ever like, what is the path? Well, let's go look at it. But is this going to be bug ID? Like in an Axios call?
No,
It's going to be like an actual ID, right?
it'd probably be, you probably have to like interpolate.
Yeah, I would interpolate it, but like if I have like a 1,
Yeah,
so this is, and then I can say like this is a GET request, I'm just like trying to like leave lots of comments here. Bug ID. So that's kind of like how it's defined. And then, yeah, if this was in JavaScript, it looks something like this. So with this information, I want to give me all the treatments for a specific bug. What could I do here? First thing, any idea?
probably. You probably want, I don't know, would it be treatments that all, you'd have to reference the bug, right?
Yeah, I mean, give me all, like, I want a specific bug. Well, what do I need? I need to find that bug, right?
Yeah,
Find bug. How do I find a bug?
Bug
Bug.
underscore ID or no?
What's the, so I do the bug class. Here's my model, but bug
Just be
mod
Bug.find.
find,
find.
because you haven't set that to,
Params.
well, yeah,
Param,
Treatments ID.
not treatments ID.
it'd just be
Treatments
bug
find.
ID.
Yeah, bug ID. That's what I did. Like when I do the Rails, here's the thing, when I do the resources routes, what it is really like, and I do this nested, it really says, hey, do a get, and I type it right here. This was when I was having you manually write out the routes. It's like, and let's do this in the namespace API. What I'm really saying is like, hey, do a get to bugs, bug ID, not good. To bugs index. Now I don't want to have to like, this would work. That'd be the same. Like as this would, this resources treatments in here will eventually generate that, but it also generates all the other ones. So I don't have to type all, 7 of these out. But that's what that's doing. I'm grabbing it from bug ID because that's what I called it here. But this is so common and so conventional that Rails has a shorthand. So I don't need to type all this stuff out. Cool. So now I can find my bug. There's that. So what do I need to do next?
You find the treatment.
I need to render it.
Well, yeah, so I can kind of do both of those things at the same time. So I can do my render JSON bug dot treatments. And now what should I do?
And then
Isn't that one good?
trans.
What?
That one's good now, isn't it?
Yeah, is it good?
Oh wait, no, you are, yeah, because you're finding all the treatments.
Oh, test it. Haha.
Yeah.
Test it. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Test. You're gonna like, especially when you're new, just you cannot test too often. Like make a change, test it, see what it does. So let's go ahead and test this. So let's do a local host API bugs. How do I figure out a bug ID? Like what do I use for the ID?
I would do a get
So-
and look at my stuff
Yeah.
and see what I had.
Yeah, let's just get all the bugs. Cool. They're 1 and 2. So now I can do a 1. Wait, why isn't that giving me the treatments?
Because you're only referencing the bug.
Yeah, that's going to show me the bug. Okay, so then I need to do the treatments to match that path. Undefined method treatments for bug. Did you mean treatments? Yeah, I spelled it wrong. So it's telling me, spell it wrong. Good thing I tested to find that error, not just assumed it worked because it didn't. And there we go. What if for some reason, I mean, it doesn't, what if I want to send back the bug with this as well? I want to do the treatments and the bug.
Would this be like yesterday where we put it in an object?
Yeah, if I wanted to, maybe I could just say, hey, let's do that as bug treatments. Like these are kind of the decisions you can make as a developer to be like, well, maybe I should get back both. Or maybe I should just get back the treatments. It's kind of like up to you. Cool. Might not have to do that, but it's kind of up to you. So just go back and not, because we actually have a call that does that. So let's just leave it like that. Sweet. So that's good. Let's go do our, I mean, do I need to do a show method? How do I know? Like, do I need to be able to show a specific, because where I'm in my treatments controller, do I need to show a specific treatment?
Can you make this a little bigger? It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
Zoom in on it.
Yeah, so there's my bug. I have my bugs page. I have my,
Yeah, you do.
so then I just had, this is kind of like my bug show where I'm, and sorry, it's vaccines instead of treatments. But do I ever show like a specific, like one individual vaccine, or do you think I'd ever need that call?
I guess not. Because this one's you're looking for all the vaccines. So this would just be a get request.
Yeah, I really want it needed, but let's just do it anyway. So for your hackathon, this would be something, you know, you might do, but you're not going to use, but.
Wouldn't those be buttons though, that you can then see the treatment? Or is that just a list? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, this is just a list. Like there's
Oh,
no
I thought
click on
those are buttons.
yeah, that's just gonna like show the thing.
Okay, cool.
But let's just do it anyway. Why not? Get some practice. So this is like show or like get one treatment. So what do I need to do first?
Get one treatment of a specific bug.
And I should say that. Well,
I think you should turn that into an instance variable. The bug.
because I'm going to be doing this on every method. Every method, like, spoiler alert, we're going to be finding the bug. So that's one we definitely want to do it before action. You don't have to. Once again, stuff like that, you're not going to get points for. You're not going to get points for doing this before action. You don't have to, but it's going to make your code dry. It's going to make it clean. It's good little habit. So I want to do this on all of them. Cool. And then private set bug. Yeah, let's make that an instance variable. So those are all now visible everywhere. And I actually broke this by just, okay. Cool. So now I don't need to find bug, but can leave that comment in there. So now how do I find the treatments? Or the single treatment? I could do like a treatment. Couldn't I just do a treatment dot find params ID? There's my treatment. Render JSON.
Are you saying with or without the bug?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything with the bug in this method. Would this work? Because first of all, what would be like an Axios call? What would the Axios call for this be? It's still a get, right? API bugs, that's the same, but what do I add?
Add the treatment ID.
Yeah, then the ID of the treatment. Right, so let's just change those up. What is params ID going to be? If this is the thing I'm sending, if that's the Axios call, what would, yeah. And params bug ID would be what? So with this is this going to work? Can I go to my treatments and find the one with params ID?
You spelled treatment wrong.
God damn it. Okay. Yes. So no, that wouldn't work, but I keep on spelling that. So I think this would work.
Give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot. Let's go test it. Exactly. So I have, I think I might have a treatment with ID 3. Cool. That works. So I can just pass it the ID and that's good. Right? But what's kind of wrong in a way with this?
It's showing the bug ID 1, but it's not on that bug, the treatment.
Yeah, so it works, but yeah, I'm like technically bug ID 1, that is COVID. But I'm showing, I'm grabbing a treatment for bacteria. So
that'd probably be good to display the bug and the treatment.
no, I kind of don't want this to work. This should kind of be like if I do a bugs 1, treatments 3, that should be a 404 because treatment bug ID, COVID does not have a treatment with ID 3.
Oh,
COVID
But do
does,
you have to do something in the private?
well, why don't, instead of using, so, you know, this is kind of not the best way. Not best. Why don't I use my @bug instance variable, use that treatments and use the find method on that. So I'm going to use my instance variable of my bug instance variable, and then I'm going to call the go search through those treatments and find params ID. So now I'm just using the one bug that was set. So now if I do 1 and 3, let's do a send.
you have to set it to a variable.
I keep on spelling treatments wrong. And then, yeah, T equals that. Couple syntax errors. Cool. There's my 404. Could not find treatment with ID 3 where bug ID is 1. So that's how I want to do my show method. I don't need to release. But what should I probably do with this method? Or this thing? This should probably go in its own method. Def set treatment. Because I'm probably going to repeat this. What methods am I going to repeat this on? I don't even need to do this anymore.
Spelled treatment wrong.
Oh man. Everything. Okay. So now my show method is really clean, but really my show method, I find the bug and then I find the treatment with the bug. But I can now just render, like this should work. Well, actually, let's. Oh, that's null. No, wait. Render JSON @treatment. Oh, I don't call my before action. I define it, I need to call it. So let's do set treatment. But for now, let's only do it on my show. Why don't I want to do it on my index?
Because you're finding multiple on your index. So you don't want to find just one treatment.
Yeah, and I'm not going to have a params ID on this URL, right? There's no params ID. For my show, there is going to be a params ID, right? And that ID, that's the treatment ID, that's the bug ID. So that's going to work. So I hit send. Cool, there's my 404. Let's actually do one that exists. There's my one treatment. So COVID is ID 1. Pfizer is ID 1, but that also has a bug ID of 1. There we go. So that's good. I might not use it, but that wasn't, that was pretty easy to build out. So we'll just do that. Let's do our create. First of all, let's just define our sanitizer. Def treatment params. What is that going to look like?
The params dot require treatment.
Dot permit.
And permit, I think.
Do I have?
Success rate.
Yeah, the success rate. If I kind of forgot, what could I look at? If I want to know what these are called, where's a good place to look?
Postman.
Postman's a good place.
You can look in your
Model?
I can't.
Sorry, not the migrate.
I can't think of the file name.
The migrate was close. It's I go to where the migrations are. So I go to like my DB. I go look at my schema. I don't ever change this. It's not going to do anything. But this is like, that's what my database looks like. So on my treatments table, I have a name and I have a success rate. I have a bug ID, but that I'm not going to allow that in my sanitizer. I'm just going to allow them the success rate and the name. They are sending me the ID through the URL of the bug ID, which I'm setting. So now I'm going to use that bug .treatments.new method. So it's a lot like, so this is the has many model. It's, it's very similar to what we do with like our create method here. I'm just going to use the method, the instance method, like from the bug. So I'm going to do @bug.treatments.new. So there's like this little extra step, but then I still just pass it the params. Save this to a variable. I think I'm just like auto completing. I think that's what's going on. I need to stop auto completing that. So I can create this to store this to a variable and then try to save it. .save, right? This is the same. And so if we save, let's go ahead and render JSON treatment. And then else, let's render JSON errors. Treatment.errors. Okay, and then we could have our, oh, what should I do?
Test it.
Test it, yes. We're gonna test it. So let's do a post request API bugs treatments, right? I get, well, the ID of the bug, because I'm using that bug to create it. So I definitely need the ID treatments. Let's go into my body, bug name, flu. Let's go ahead and send that. Syntax error.
Wait, you're creating a treatment, right? Not a bug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I am creating a treatment. But so, yeah, sorry. I should be creating a treatment for COVID in particular. But I had a syntax error save me from that. It's not. Okay. I think it was that one right there. So yeah, bug, or so actually, let's try this. So I have bug name. Let's try to send this. Param is missing or the value is empty. Treatment. Notice this is kind of pointing me exactly where this is catching. And Joe, you saw this. But what do I need to change? Because see where it's failing? 39, this param's not required treatment. Do I have any treatment? Like I'm not sending like a treatment here, right? I do a bug, a fact. I need to do call this treatment. So that's the params not required treatment. Okay, so treatment is there. And then I'm going to permit name. And there's my name. And then for the value, I could do, I don't know, China vaccine. I don't know what it's called. So now I created a treatment for COVID. That works. could go do the update. What's different with the update? First of all, I need to call that update.
You don't need to define treatment because you can just use the instance variable.
Yeah, I don't need that. Because I actually, yeah, I not only can I use that, like I want to use that instance variable.
And then if that's at treatment.update instead of save.
That's
Yeah.
treatment update.
And then the params.
Treatment params. So treatment params. Just anyone know what error I'm going to get here? Let's just run it. Let's test it. So I'm going to update. Let's update this one with ID 5. So once again, let's match, make sure it's COVID treatments 5. Let's update it.
Should be a put request.
Oh yeah, that should be, so that's a 404. So read these, like, it's really important that you read these errors because we're going to see another error after this. So I'm getting a 404, no route matches post. Okay, yes, that right. I need to make that a put. Now I get a different error, undefined method update for nil class. Look at these errors, learn how to read them, learn how to like this is telling you where this is failing. This one, it kind of comes in different flavors, but this is such a common error. What? I mean, what's the error? Like, you don't have to say why it's causing it or like.
You need an ID, I believe.
Even go a little high, more high level. Like what
And
does,
you
what
need
does
to
this say?
set update in that set treatments.
Even a little high, like don't even think about like what is going wrong? Why is this saying it's broken? This error right here, I guarantee you have seen like 10 times already at least. Maybe not for this specific example, but like cannot read update of nil class or like cannot read blank of undefined. Like we've seen the same one in JavaScript.
Oh, is it because
It looks a
you
little
don't have
different.
bugs? You don't have like the bugs instance variable in there.
Undefined. Okay, so it's saying undefined method update for nil class. And it's pointing us right here. Undefined method update for nil class. What is nil? What is undefined?
Treatment.
Treatment is not defined right here. If you understand, like, this is such like it's a very like I know you're beginning, it's maybe not easy now. This is a very easy error to read. I could know nothing about the code, nothing about what this is doing. I could see this error. I could come in and I could be like, oh, right there, that at treatment thing, whatever it is, it's not defined because you're trying to call update method on undefined. Because if I know that, I can now, when I go back and debug, I can ask myself, the issue now is why is treatment undefined? If does like, and that makes this so much more easier to figure out. Like if you gloss over this error and you don't understand it, like you're kind of shooting in the dark. But now that we understand the error, we know that right here at treatment is undefined. Why is it undefined? Don't I set the treatment?
Well, you've got it set there, but you need to also render the same one. You need to render the instance variable.
What do you mean render the instance? Oh, okay, boom.
Yeah, and then also in the errors, you have to do it there.
That's
And
not
it should be add bugs dot treatment.
that's not the error though.
Um,
The error is right here in line 30. You are correct. That needs to be at treatment. That's 100% correct. But I'm going to get the same error. Like it doesn't even hit there. I'm failing right here. The error is at treatment is not defined. Like it's right there. Like you can't, that's where my code gets right here and it blows up because treatment's not defined. Because I'm trying to call update on undefined or nil. But good catch on those, like those would just have blown up later.
I don't know why it's not defined though, because you did define
Where do I define it?
in your set treatment method.
Does this is a method definition. Am I calling this method?
Do you
Right.
have it as a before action?
Let's do that. Let's say set treatment. I'm going to call it right there.
Could you also do this in a before action?
Yes.
Would you want to?
So so I could, this is my method definition. I'm not actually calling it. I need to call it set treatment. Awesome. Now treatment's defined. So, well, I could do it there, but there's also this little helper in Rails before action. Let's do that on update. Now that update method is essentially just going to do what I did there. It's going to like, before like this method is called, it's going to run that. I mean, essentially it does like throw right there. But that error right there, the undefined error, just have that sear into your, like, you're going to see that so many times. And you have. But, and if it tells you right where it is, this is just like, hey, cannot read. I wish it would just say like line 31 at treatment is not defined. Like, why can't they just say that? That'd be a lot clearer, right? But this is what it's saying. It's actually more specific, but cool. Update. Def update. And did it update? I think it did. That's working. So we can now do the def delete. Right, I need to set the treatment because I need to go in and this was really saying set treatments really goes to say like, hey, go find the bug, go find, because actually the set bug is actually really being called, right? Because we do that before all actions. So we're really setting the bug, setting the treatment, and then render JSON at treatment destroy. I don't need to put these here because I'm going to throw them in my before actions. So we set the bug. We want to do that on all of them, and I want to set the bug here on destroy. And that keeps, that cleans up our code, right? Because I don't have those three, it's, you know, I don't have this. Those are my before actions. So let's go destroy this. Let's make this a delete. Send. The action destroy could not be found. Did I not call that? Oh, I called that. delete. This needs to be called destroy. Why does this need to be called destroy?
That's how it's defined in the routes.
Yeah, because I chose to do resource routing. So resource routing is kind of like deciding what those are going to be called. So if someone does a delete request to API bugs or a delete to API bugs, bug ID, treatments ID, it's going to go to the treatments controller destroy method. So I need to call that destroy. Okay.
But the definition should be delete.
Is it delete? That one?
No, the definition.
No, this should be destroy.
Doesn't say,
It's a delete request to API bugs, treatments ID, whatever. That goes to the
oh yeah, you're
treatment
right. Yeah.
controller to the destroy method.
It was the delete.
I need to do a delete. It's confusing. Like I always get mixed up with delete. I do a delete HTTP request. It takes me to the destroy method. And there we go. That's been destroyed. If I try to do it again, I'm gonna get my 404. All right, so I could have done that. Like, so if I had a team of 3 people, like I could have done that on my own, right? And tested that out. What would be a good thing to do right now?
Well, if it's all working, you want to push it.
Yeah. So I could push it, and just for fun, let's say like I said, you wouldn't do this in GitHub. Let's just say I have another team member in, on my team, and they go to like, they were working on the bugs controller. And like, pretend this was just done as well. Or like, so they got done with the bugs controller. Your other team commits. Let me actually let's do another one. Bugs, pretend this was done as well, by Sally. Sally goes ahead, she does this. She makes her commit. She pushes to GitHub, and she did the bugs controller. And I'm ready to now do it. So I could now do what do I want to do first? Or what are some of, let's talk about the commands. What does a git pull origin master do?
Git pull updates to the latest Git that everyone has pushed.
Yeah, it's going to go up to the master branch and just knock it down onto yours.
Quick question. We're obviously using Gem Faker. Are we gonna use Pry too?
We haven't really used Pry. You don't really know what it is, so no. It might be nice for like, maybe tomorrow we'll do a little demo with it. It's a way you can actually pause your Rails code. So you can like pause the execution of your code and look inside of it, see what's going on.
So for now, just Faker.
Yeah. So I've done my controller, or like I do a pull. So now if I look at VS Code and I go to like the bugs controller, like, oh, well, I now have all of Sally's changes. And then I can do a git add commit -m. I might like, sometimes when you pull, you might want to retest. I kind of don't think I need to retest because she did the bugs controller, I did the treatments controller, like it's probably okay. But if you have interconnected pieces, you might want to like test again and make sure polling didn't break anything of yours. And you can maybe just do it, but let's do a commit. Do we do treatments? Now I can push. And now, the treatments controller is done and the bugs controller are done. And then I could like, especially if someone's like waiting on me for the treat or like waiting for this to be done, or like, it'd be really nice. Like if I had a front end person working on like this bug feature or like the treatments feature, then I would be like, hey, I just got this done. Everyone can now pull. So if like someone else was working on their project, they can just go ahead and do a get pull and grab those changes. And then Bob would now have like the bugs controller and treatments controller done. Sweet. So I think it's going to be good practice for you when you push up to master, really test it, and then tell your teammates you pushed up to master, and then they can maybe pull at that time. Because what can happen in hackathons is everyone's working on their side thing for like 3 hours, and then there's like 20 minutes before it's like cutoff time. And then you're all trying to merge to master and pull and like get it all up to date, and then it can get a little messy. That's where you can run into merge conflicts, and that's where you can like break other people's code or accidentally remove other people's code, or things don't work together. So push and pull often, more often than not, for the start. As you get more comfortable with it, you don't have to do it as much, but sweet. One thing I'm going to say, that kind of did, I mean, that took us, I don't know, I went through that kind of slowly. That kind of maybe, I don't know, took us an hour-ish. Now, something you can totally do, well, not, I mean, it's not going to really, we're not going to know. Like, let's just say you have some controller, X controller, or let's call it like, I don't know, foods. Like there's a well, give me a has many. Let's say a author has many books. Okay. So I'm going to do a books controller. Now, what you can easily do, and this is just like Rails, let's say I have a books controller. I could like come in and I want to like fill this out. I could come take like a working controller. So I could do a command F. So wherever there's like bug, well, that's going to be an author. Well, let's find bug. Replace that with author. I mean, I might have to go in and switch some of this, but like this one would need to be a capital A. And that would need to be a capital A. Okay, and then I could go through, I could find my treatments. That's going to be a book. Let's actually do capital check for casing. And I go in and I switch all those out.
What does the button next to that do?
What button? I'm just replacing them.
No, the button to the right of the one you were clicking.
It would do all of them
Oh,
all at once.
oh, that and that one does one at a time. Okay.
Yeah, so I can kind of like go through and see, do I actually want to change it, or you can do it all at the same time. And then, I mean, I would need to maybe go in and change like the book params, like a book might have a name and like pages. And I think this would work. And that took me like 5 minutes. But I maybe didn't copy something right and I might create an error. And then, worse off is like, I can't explain any of this and I don't actually know how this works because I'm more concerned about just getting it working and getting the feature done than actually understanding the code. So you might, win the hackathon or you might get points, but more points, you might do a better job. But what is the point of that if you don't know how this is working? Part of the hackathon, it's an opportunity for you to go in and really kind of test your knowledge. So, and it's not to say like you can't like use a different project as a reference and like kind of like, oh, how did I do it there? But as you're going through it, really try to like explain to yourself what's happening. Right? Because this, I really do think this would work if we had like the models set up. Right? The index method would be like, hey, let's find the author.find params author ID. Well, actually, that can just be done in my set author method. And my author has many books, so author.books. Right? Render JSON at book. Well, that's because I set my author and I set my book in my before action. For my create, I create a new book in memory, use my author to create that book using the book params. I try to save it. If it's an update, I just use my instance variable book that I found in my before actions, update it with the book params. Like, right, this is the same thing as my treatments controller. You don't really need that there. Cool. So yeah, try to use the hackathon as a learning experience. I think it's better if you learn something from it than getting it working. Obviously the goal is to do both. So let's take a break. Let's come back at 11:10. I'll just make sure this is all pushed up to GitHub.
Did you want to get that sorted now or wait till work time on lunch?
We can
It's
look
up
at
to you since I don't know how to do it. So
no, let's try to. Let's see if I don't know if we can get it done in 15 minutes, but let's see if we can. Let's look at it right now. So do you want to share your screen?
Yep.
If you do a Ruby-V right here. Okay, okay. It seems like so you run. I'll Slack it to you. I just want to see. I think we just need to uninstall Rails. This is what we need to do. Let's just do that. I need to like look at the commands for this.
is it doing that going to mess up my projects at all? Like with you guys reading them on GitHub?
No,
Okay.
we're just going to uninstall Rails on your computer and reinstall it.
Okay.
So run those two commands. Oh, you do have two versions. Hit 3. What? Try running that second one, gem and uninstall Rails ties. Can you do 4? Hit yes. Which one? Users RB. Do the gem uninstall Rails again. Let's do version, put type 2. See if it, okay. If type which, like the WC, how do you WITCH, or how do you spell which? WHICH, and then rel space Rails.
I always get confused on which, the 2 witches too.
Oh yeah,
It's terrible.
I hate trying to like tell people how this, well, because I get so like twisted when I tell people how to spell stuff. And then okay, hit up. See if you can do like a space, like a a dash. What was the bad one? Was it 7.0.2.2? I wonder if it can give us this specific thing. Where? Okay. Let's do. Run this. I'm going to Slack it to you. So
Yep.
I can never say this out loud correctly. Code /.zshrc. It's like a tongue twister.
Oh.
All right, let me look at this. Okay, you have all of that. Scroll down. Scroll down. Okay, close this. Do a code /.zshenv. Okay. You close that. Sorry, try doing the do gem uninstall Rails. Which let me see something. I want to see something on my computer.
Yep.
Right. Why is it looking in there? What if you try to do a sudo gem uninstall Rails? So type sudo, yeah, in front of that. Do it, yeah. Let's see if this. Type in your computer password. Okay, sweet. And then do sudo gem uninstall railties. And that's a sudo gem. You need a gem.
Whoops. Rail ties. Okay, I wanted to make sure I spelled that right.
Do 3. Yes. Okay. So do Rails -v. Okay, cool. So now do gem. Let's let's close your iTerm. This shouldn't really matter, but let's quit it. Reopen it. So do gem install Rails. Cool. Now cd into that clone project. Okay, now run bundle. That's where it was failing, right?
Yeah.
Do gem install Rails here.
Whoops.
Okay, do Rails -v here. Why is it? Okay. We do not want to run this command. Go to, wait, go to, let me see your, go to about this Mac. So go to your Apple. You have an M1. Do a what's the file called?
Did you try turning it off and on again?
Try
No, not yet.
Is it plugged in?
It is plugged in.
on your computer at the wall.
Well, I'm gonna spend $1,000 on it. I'd rather not do that one.
I might spell this. Let's put bash profile. You don't have that file. Okay, that's fine. You don't have it. Do you have a bash RC file? Okay. Yeah, let's look at this later.
All right.
We don't want to install Rails with.
With the sudo,
Yeah.
what does that do? What is it? Just not fully installing it, or?
Wait, sorry. Do a Ruby -v. It's like a. What version did you have? 3.2.107. I don't know. Did you clone someone's from yesterday, like another person's project?
Yeah, when we were in the work time and going over what we were going to be doing during the hackathon and everything, I cloned Steve's project, and I got the same error, this bundle error. But when I cloned Trina's wildflower one, it did not.
Digital, yeah, there's probably some stuff with that.
Trina was also able to pull down mine and it ran fine for her.
Yes.
We did not get this error.
Yeah. I think when you're doing your setup previously, you might have done something that, I don't know, we just got, well, I'll have to look at it some more.
Okay.
But the fact that it's when it's telling you you do gem install Rails in this directory, and it's saying you want do it with sudo, it's like, no, we're not going to do that
Okay.
because that'll just create problems. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
I'm gonna run to the restroom since I didn't leave during the break. I'll be right back.
So I'm going to share my screen.
By the way, if nobody's watched the IT, if you haven't watched the IT Crowd on Netflix, I highly recommend doing so.
Or I like Silicon Valley. That's a good one.
Yeah, Silicon Valley is also great. It's probably more relevant to this, but IT Crowd is just hilarious.
Okay. Now I forgot where we're at. Let's see here. We have done our back end, which is the easy part. Okay, but we've also done some of our front end where we've set this up. So this would be a spot where, you know, we could start working on bugs. So this could also be like someone could maybe be working on the home page. That's a very easy thing to do. Someone could be working on the about page. That's static. So I'm probably not, let's kind of leave those alone for now. And someone could be working on this hospital page, which would be its own separate model. But let's go to like the meat of this, which is this bugs page. And let's start working on this. So something with the hackathon, once again, it's like, you're not getting graded on how you did this. We might look at like, you're going to get some, like, we'll look at your commit history. There's some coding stuff we're going to look at, but it is like mainly going to be, can you come to your web page and, you know, click this new bug button, and that takes you to a new bug form and you can create a new bug, or you see all the bugs. Like it's going to be what we see, like the functionality of your app. So the controller is like done, but technically you're like, you would have no points given for this app, right? Because none of the CRUD actions are done yet. So it's like, if we were judging your CRUD actions on bugs and vaccines, you would get a 0. Because it's got to be like the whole thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start my server. We did actually have this working where we're grabbing the list of our bugs. So you would get credit for that. There you go. You're doing like the read on bugs. But we want to make this look a little nicer. So let's just build out this bug component. So I want to have a bug component that's probably going to, you know, have some of the text about what it is and a button. And then also like, you know, I should have on here, you're going to want like a delete button. Right? Delete. A way to delete these. Okay, so let's.
Also want a show button.
Yeah, I guess we could have a show button, or clicking on the whole thing could do it, but sure, let's do a show button.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, either way.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the show buttons. Yeah, we want a show button too. Let's make that blue. Okay, so show, delete, and edit. So let's go build that out. VS Code. So I created that bug component. So come in here. Now, once again, this is kind of where, since we're agreeing on the language of like what our bug has, I kind of think using your schema as, kind of like the source of truth. What kind of props do you think my bug is going to have? Like, I'm creating this bug component. What do you think I'm going to get from props? Like, what does a bug have?
A name.
Has a name. What else?
Argument.
It's going to have an ID. Probably, yeah. Should have an ID. And what was, I forgot actually, so let's go to the schema. Bug type. Cool. So let's do name is name.
Quick question, where do we add the proxy again?
In the package JSON. So if I go to my package JSON,
In package JSON?
yeah, it's at like the root level of the JSON object.
I thank you.
Then we do the bug type. Then I could do a button to show, delete, and edit. And I think for some basic styling, like I said, you're not going to get too much points for styling. I kind of just like to do this border. 1 pixel dashed or whatever, however you want to do it, just to kind of create some space. Why am I doing style? This would be border. And this would be dot border because that's going to be the name of the class. Black padding. Just do 10 pixels and margin. 10 pixels. And then, yeah, if you wanted to, you have different colors. Start doing this like nesting thing and just change the color. So nested ones will have different colors. I just like to do this because this is, I think, helps visualize where some stuff is. Okay. Because now I can give this like a class equals class name is border. There's my bug component. Where am I going to use this bug component? Probably in my bugs page where I'm like JSON stringifying them. Why don't I do here? Div render bugs function. Const render. Const render bugs. What do I want to do here? It's kind of hard because we did some of this yesterday, so now I might need to like step in, be like, what am I doing here? Okay, I have bug state and this setter to set it. I have a use effect, so I get the bugs on mount. That just does my Axios call set bugs res.data. I don't have this in a try catch. It's technically not part, like error handling is going to be like a bonus. A try catch is still probably going to be beneficial because if this fails, I'm not going to know, or it might be harder to find. But let's just go ahead and do this. So now I want to return that bug state. I want to map, go through each bug, return that. Let's do it like this. Let's return that bug component I just created. Give it a key, bug.id. And let's also, since my bug is an object, I can just spread out over that. Go to my React app, bug is not defined.
Pass that function something, render bugs function.
For what?
Do you need to pass that render bugs function something, a parameter of some kind?
No, my render bugs function is just going through my bug state, mapping over them, using that bug component I just created to render out each individual one of those. And there we go. So there I have my bug and then some buttons kind of set up. Right. Another thing I could do here is I could do like a, another button, new, on click. I want to navigate. Well, if I want to navigate, I can do my use navigate hook. Equals use navigate. All right, what am I doing? I want to import this from React Router DOM. Const navigate equals use navigate. So on here, I can navigate. What's my path to my new form? And if I don't know, where can I look?
You can look at the Rails/info/routes.
So that's not the right place to look. Those are our API routes. And I'm glad you said that because I wanted to really make that clear. I'm now navigating in React Router. So those are not the same. I want to navigate to my form. That really has nothing, like, that's not like an API call, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
So like if it was a Rails app, then I do, or like a Rails route, then I do want to look at the localhost 3001. If I forget, or if I need to add a route for React Router, where do we have that set up?
That would be your index.js, right?
Yeah, in my index.js, this is where I could check it out. Like, do we have it set up? I don't remember. I don't know. Oh, it looks like I want to go to the bug form. It looks like I have a bugs new. And part of the reason I named this bugs new is I think that's pretty readable, right? Bugs new. That sounds like that should take me to like a page to create a new bug. So that's the path I want to go to. So bugs new. Does that not work? No route match location. Look at my, this is a React Router thing. So it's bug/bugs/new. It's like, why is it doing that? With this, I want to actually need to append that with a slash. So slash bug slash new. So we go back, new bug. New bug form, no ID. Oh yeah, we had that set up, right? If we don't have an ID, it's going to say new bug form. Let's look at since we kind of just did that, let's do the same thing for our bug. Let's get these links shown up so I could be like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I did. I need to grab my use navigate. What else could I use to navigate with? And I guess I'll do it here so you can see. I can use the use navigate hook. What's another way with the React router I can navigate? The link. There's a link component. So
Is
I'll
that
do
the one that's like this self-closing and it turns the text green? Like
Yeah.
generally? Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I couldn't remember what it was called.
So we'll do both, kind of look at the difference. So we'll do the show as a link. So what's the path to my show? Well, if I don't know, I can go to my index.js. I do bugs :ID bug show. So I need to bugs, and then that's probably going to be the actual ID of the bug I want to show. So go to my bug. Let's interpolate this because I'm going to need the ID. So this should go to /bugs. And then the ID, well, I'm grabbing the ID from props. Let's just use that ID. And then if I had the edit, I could do a so that's a button. I can do a click handler. It's kind of, and then I could use my navigate. Let's see. I can navigate to my edit. Well, that was going to be bugs. Pass it the ID, and then I had edit at the end. Bugs ID edit. So bugs, give it the actual ID and then edit. So now I could set that up or test that. So it's a little bit like my show. Underneath the hood, the link is going to create an A tag, and it's, it navigates. With the on click or the navigate, it can be like on a button, it can be like in a function. So they both work. They kind of just can give you different functionality. So my show's working and my edit's working. And if I go to my edit bug form, we set it up where we have the ID. But something that I might want to do with my links as I'm here, and this is where this can kind of get hard, like as you're working with this in a pair, because I'm kind of working on like my bugs page, my bug model, and now I kind of want to go do stuff with my bug show, because I want to actually pass some state here. Actually, let's just do this on my edit. Let's pass state here. So how do I do that? On my navigate, remember I can pass it a second argument, which is an object. It's going to have the key state. And this is just how like the React router navigate works. I want to pass, this stuff on down to my edit form, because this is how I'm going to pre-populate my form. What's another way I could pre-populate my edit form? I'm not going to do it, but just give me an idea. I could use Axios. in my bug form to grab the data from my database. Here, I'm just going to send it. And for the hackathon, it does, we don't care what, we care that it works. I don't care if you do it through Navigate or your API. So let's go to the bug form. So here I'm passing this second object with the state key and the name ID and bug type. So how do I grab that? Well, that is going to be through my use location hook. With the use location hook, I can grab that second state thing. So if I can do this, let me just show you this. We'll call this location. And then we can just do like a JSON dot stringify location. Okay. So if I go to my bugs, I go to my edit. There's that location as the path name. And there's that state object I created with the name COVID ID bug virus. Sweet. So that's the stuff I could use to pre-populate that form. If I go to a new bug, the use location, the state is null because I didn't give it any state. Because I didn't really have anything. All right. Next thing I could do, so with my bug, we're gonna do this show, like, that's gonna be someone else's job. So we're gonna kind of just ignore that for now. We're just gonna stay on the bugs. All right. Any questions up to this point? How's this feeling? Is this React is confusing, huh?
Can you Slack that out maybe?
You want me to Slack out? Okay, so let me Slack out the bug. We could try, I could try pushing it up and you could try cloning it. Are you following along with the same repo?
Yeah.
Are you trying to follow along?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. This will be fun. What do you think might happen? Any idea, anyone? If
I
we-
try to pull it.
Yeah. Well, don't do it yet. Let me push.
Won't there be like some merging conflicts?
Now, there's probably going to be some conflicts, but
If
You
we're
want-
not a collaborator, then we can't pull it, can we? Or we have to just clone it again?
you can pull it. You can pull it as often as you want. You can't push.
You have to be a collaborator though to do it, or the
You have to be a collaborator to push.
oh,
You can pull whenever you want.
you just have to clone it first, and then you can pull it whenever.
Yep. So think about polling. Polling's like, it's like a read, right? Because you can go to GitHub and you can go, like, this is a public repo. You can come in here and you can read it. So that's like, polling is essentially like a nice convenient way to read it. Pushing's like you want to write. You want to overwrite the files, so that you do not have. If you're not a collaborator, you don't have permission. So Brenda, do you want to share your screen and do a poll? Or who was saying they wanted me to Slack it out?
It was me.
Trina, do you want to?
Jess.
Oh, yes. What?
Yep.
Oh, Jess, you want to share your screen?
Yep.
Be guinea pig.
So I did the poll and then
Did you get some conflicts or did it work?
yeah. So these are the conflicts I'm guessing is like the get lens right here, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. So go back to your terminal.
Okay.
what does it say you do? Get pull. Please. Okay, so it actually, it's allowing you to do one of two things. It's saying, hey, you either some of your stuff's going to get overwritten, so it's kind of giving you a warning. It's saying you either need to make a commit or a stash. So we haven't heard the term stash. Stash is a way you can do a git stash, and it will save your changes like in a stash that you can access later. So it doesn't like delete your changes. It just kind of like think of the word stash. It's like you're stashing them away. And then you can pull from master to get the changes. So stashing kind of like, in a sense, it's going to erase your changes and pull from master, but it will keep them in a stash. So it's not like they're gone, but
Okay.
they will be gone when you like do it.
So I just do git stash.
Is that what you want to do? You want to get caught up?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could do a git stash. See, now all your changes that you made since your last commit went away. You see how like it changed in VS Code?
Uh-huh.
So it's not quite like you deleted, like you can get those back, but now they're gone. Now you can do a git pull origin master. And there you go. So with the stat, the benefit of the stash is if you don't care what you have or the changes you made, you can stash them and just pull, but then your changes are gone. The other thing you could have done is you could have committed and then done a pull, but then there would have been some merge conflicts. But that's might have what you wanted to have happen if you wanted to keep some of your changes.
Kind of like how we were pushing and pulling, like when we would change it
Yeah.
and have the conflicts. Okay.
So yeah, so if you don't care about your changes, you can do a stash. But I'm just going to say for now, like consider a stash as like, let's just kind of treat it as it's going to delete all the changes you made from your last commit.
Okay.
Even though they're technically, you could still go back and see what you did.
Cool.
Where would you go back to see it?
What?
Where would you go back to see the stash after?
I don't want to get into that, but it's there. You'd have to, there's ways you can go back and like check it out. So it's kind of above what I want to do with Git for now, but if you wanted to, just Google stashing in Git, if you did want to grab it. It's not too hard, but GitHub, you can do a ton with GitHub. We'll next get into branches, which are really nice. Cool. All right, so let's continue. So yeah, and I'm not like trying to dodge the question. I don't want us to like try like, I'm going to say stashing is a tool that you can use if you just want to essentially delete stuff for now and just get up to date with master. If you want to commit, if you want to keep your changes and you want to pull for master, for now, do a commit add, pull for master, and go through the merge conflicts. That's how we're going to do it. Cool. All right. So where are we at? So we have our show set up. So someone could be like, if I was breaking this up, someone could be working on the show page right now. I think that would be, that's kind of like its own little thing. And now that I have like this, now that I have like my navigation kind of more set up and like I'm sending data to my form, both in the new and the edit. I think someone could start working on the form. I mean, so let's, except I don't know, I think it'd be easier with like, if you're doing CRUD actions, that might be a little complicated to try to break that up. So we're just gonna say, hey, someone's gonna do like all of the bug CRUD actions on the front end, which is a big chunk of work, but. So let's do that. So we have our create, we have our show kind of working. Let's go in and start building out our form. Cool. So if I go to my form, so I have this set up to kind of already, this logic, do I have params ID? If I do, it's an edit. If I don't, it's a new. I also have this location.state. Where location.state, if it's an edit, it's going to be the values I need. And if it's a new bug, then location.state is just going to be null. Cool. So let's start setting up my form. So I'm going to want use state from React. And then I'm going to want like a name.
I was trying to do the pull and I ended up in Vim somehow. It says merge branch master of GitHub and it commit message to explain why this merge is necessary, but I don't think I was trying to merge.
It merged for you. So you just need to do can you just hit command or shift : and then quit? Or like, did that work? Did that get you out of it?
No.
You want to share your screen? And we'll get you out of them. Or you might just be able to hit Q. If you hit Q, does that get you out? So do shift : at the same time and then Q. That should.
Sure.
Or it says type.
Yeah, type QA. I tried that though and it wasn't doing it.
So hit escape. And then shift : now Q. There you go.
Okay, so did I pull it then?
Yeah, and one way you can tell, like it's giving you all these things that have now changed. And so the pluses, like it says, it's kind of telling you things that have been added and things that have been removed. So the pluses are things that have been added and the reds are lines that have been removed. And then it's showing you the files. So yeah, you are good there. Cool. So for my, to set up my form, my name, I want to have this initial state. If it's an edit, I want to grab that. So I can do this. I can do state dot location. If I have that, I'll just do a ternary right here. Is state dot location, or sorry, it's location dot state is defined. Remember, it was null in my new and it was not null in my update. If I have this, I want to use the name on that. If not, I'll just use the empty string. So then I can start creating like a form component here. will be p name. Input value is name on change. Sorry, would be take my event, set name, target. You know, I'll just leave these down here because I think they kind of might help explain what's going on up here. All right, so let's just try this out. We just have one field. So if it's a new form, I have my name, there's nothing there. If I go like to like COVID and I hit edit, now COVID's there because I have location.state.name. So I could do the same thing for my bug type. I'm gonna mix some conventions here, but it's okay. Copy this, so this would be bug type. Then yeah, while we're here, let's do a button. Okay, once a group. Again, use my ID. So if I have an ID, let's say like update on that button. If we don't, let's just say create. Let's do our on submit. Handle submit. Go ahead and define this function. So we don't want this page to reload. So like we always do, we're going to prevent the default. And then right here, I could also just do, just for testing, let's say, hey, do I have a params ID? I'm just going to like console.log. Let's do update, because if we have a ID we want to update, and then let's log the object. Like I'm going to do name and set bug. I'm also with this, we can like throw the ID in here. That'll be params.id. Else we can console.log, create, and that one we're not going to have an ID. So now I can test this. So set bug is not defined. It's actually set bug. No, it's bug type. Bug type. That I want to log right there. Set bug type's not defined. Oh, I deleted that. Okay, so now I go to my bug form, its name, bug type. I can hit update. Sweet, I'm getting the name, virus, the ID, and if I change my form, that's working. When I click update, it says update, and I'm logging the object. So that's like getting ready to add. I go to my new form, that's blank, that's good. And then I hit type create, and then I'm logging my stuff. All right.
Quick question, what's the difference between a float and an integer?
Float's like a decimal, so like 2.0 is a float. An integer is just a whole number, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And
All right. Thank you.
Yep. So what am I ready to do now?
You're ready to add whatever form information back into your database.
Yeah, now I'm ready to do the Axios stuff. I just want I want you to just think about this, and because like it's so much, like I said, this assignment, we don't grade you on how you code it. It's just that it works. Could I not do like the Axios update here and then navigate back? Actually, you know, I could do the Axios call here and navigate back to bugs page, right? I could do my Axios call here, navigate back to bugs, or like the Axios call to like create, navigate back. Right? Or I could like, in my bugs, I could do it all here, because this is where my bug state lives. So normally we would maybe do it like in here, we'd have like a const add bug. Right? And we do all the logic to add bug. We could do like the we could do the Axios call here. And we could update our state /UI. Right, that's how we kind of did it last week. I kind of want to, or on Monday, I kind of want to show you something though. I'm just going to put a console.log right here. Doing API call to get bugs. Right, when this use effect logs when this component mounts. And when it mounts, we're going to get the bugs. So when I go to, if I clear my console, I go to bugs, mounted, and doing API call to get bugs. So let's say I go to my new form. Let's say I created this thing. I click create, that creates it. And like it magically navigates back to my bugs. That's going to mount and do API call to get bugs. So let me kind of show you where I'm getting at with this. Let's go back to my bug form. Let's navigate. So do I want to use my link component? Because here I want to navigate. So do I want to use my link component here?
No, you want to use your navigate function.
Yeah, I can't use my, that's like a thing that's like, I can't use this. I can't just put some JSX right here. This would be definitely where I have to use my navigate function. So I could navigate. So let's grab that use navigate hook. Do I not have it? Okay, use navigate. This is like navigate. What's the path? Where do I want to go? And if I don't know, where do I look?
Look on your index.js.
Index. Yeah, because I want to go back to like my bugs, like that bugs page, and that's bugs. Okay.
But can you not use link here?
I mean, can I like right here, can I do like a paragraph and say like, hello?
No.
Yeah, because it's like I'm in a function, like I'm handling submit. So that's just the link is a component. That needs to be.
Because navigate's more like a function.
Yeah, navigate, exactly. Navigate is a function.
Okay.
I can call the navigate function. So that's exactly what I want to do right here. And on both of them, I want to navigate back to bugs. So I could go my new bug, go and create this. I mean, I'm not doing the Axios call. I just want, when I hit create, that's going to take me back to the page, and it's actually going to do an API call to get the bugs. So if I do it this way, if I do my Axios call right here, I mean, let's just do it. Axios dot post. What's this URL going to be? Or where do I look at index.js, or do I look at my Rails if I forget?
This is Rails.
Yeah, this is Rails. And this is actually a put, right?
Right.
And I need to make this asynchronous or async, because now I'm going to do an Axios call. Put. That's API, bugs, and then the ID of the bug, right? Should be params ID. No, I'm forgetting my pass. I actually need to go look at this because I'm confused myself. So I go to localhost 3001. It's just bugs bug ID, right? API bugs ID with a put. Yeah, I've confused myself. That takes us to our update method. Okay, and then I need to actually send it the data, right? Boom. Does it have to be in a try catch? I mean,
Doesn't have to, but you won't know if there are any errors.
yeah, it's probably going to be, yeah, a little confusing if, like, let's misspell that and see what happens. So this is going to be a 404. I go, and this needs to be my edit. Like, maybe I don't have my inspect open and I don't see that. I don't think it's breaking. A try catch, I can do like an alert or something, but this, I don't really handle it. Let's fix that so I don't get that 404. Let's switch COVID to COVID 22. That name's been updated. How come? Do you see what I'm like? I didn't have to do that like map and go through the bugs where the bug ID equals that and replace blah, blah, blah. Right? Why? And I don't have to do that because when I navigate back to my bugs page, with how I have this set up, every time this component mounts, the use effect will be called. So I don't need to, I could have made this work like this, where I did the add bug here, you know, passed it to my form. But this is actually, where's my form? I couldn't even pass that to my form. I would have to like pass it to my form right here. As state. So this is the way I actually want to do this. And it's also nice because now I can just, I don't have to do all that extra work. So for update, let's go back to my bug form.
Can you go through quickly how that's working again?
The key takeaway here is, so right here, I await, so I add my bug, or here I'm updating. Update bug to DB. Okay, when bug has been updated, navigate to bugs page. when I navigate to the bugs page anytime, it's calling that use effect. Like if I look at my server, if I do like a dash 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 on my server, and I go navigate to my bugs page, it's receiving a GET request for bugs. So
And use effect is doing the GET request.
what?
Use effect is doing the GET request.
Yeah, well, yeah, so when I navigate, so here I'm navigating back to that bugs component, so that mounts. So this is where I'm doing that log.
Right.
And then I get the bugs.
Yeah, bugs is where we, okay.
The bugs is
Then you're doing another API, or you're doing another access call, okay.
and so that goes to my database, and my database is going to have that updated bug in it.
I'm getting it.
What would happen in my bug form? I didn't await for that. This is going to be interesting. So let's see if this works. I don't do the await. I'm going to do the put. I'm going to navigate to bugs. I actually don't know if this will work. Let's try it out. I'm going to edit. E. coli, yo, we update. Got it. That time it didn't. Wait, what? If I refresh. Wait, why did it work one time and not the other time? You saw both of those, right?
Magic.
Magic. That is actually, when I said, is this going to work? I said, I don't know. Because what's going to happen, we don't have the async await. So there's a couple things going on with that. With the async await, we await for this to finish. So without the async await, we just run this and we don't wait. And then we navigate to bugs.
So it skipped it the second time?
It
Because it
didn't.
was waiting too long?
No, it worked. It worked. I just had to refresh the page.
Is it like there's no telling whether or not it's going to get done before you navigate back?
Well, by skip it, I meant it like skipped it so it didn't go along, like it didn't go fast enough. So you had to click refresh for it to come through.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, it's like a race. It's like, is this going to finish before it takes my React to load my navigate and to do the like Axios call? So it's like a race condition. So that's why it might work sometimes and might not work other times. Just like depends how long. Like that one worked. That one worked. That one didn't work. But it did update to the database because if I refresh, it's there. So yeah, with this, I want to make this async. And then I'm going to await for that to finish. So like, hey, wait for this to finish, then navigate. Because then I can be 100% sure. I mean, well, as long as this, I don't have this in a try catch, like really this should be in a try catch, right? Right, my navigate should be in the try part. Because I should only navigate if this was successful. And I should only navigate after. So now if I did something wrong here, like I misspelled this, I go to my edit, I click update, I get that alert error, and I don't navigate. If I don't have this in a try catch, and I have this bad URL, I go in here, I edit this, I update. So let's do like, yo, update. That's my fill, get on caught and promise. Actually, that didn't even navigate me. That just froze my code. I thought that maybe potentially I would get navigated back, but I didn't. So, but if you don't have like the try catch, you might be confused on like, is this working? Then you go back, it's like, wait, no. So the try catch can be useful for you. And you can do like a little alert. Error, oh yeah, let's fix that bugs. Cool. So now with the async await, now I know always, you know, it's going to navigate only after it's been updated. I'm going to get rid of all these logs. It's getting messy. I could maybe clean this up a little by throwing this if else in this statement right here. This could kind of clean this up a little. Because I want to, in both cases, I want to navigate the bugs when it's done. And in both cases, I want to catch the error. So I can move that if else logic. You know, if I have an ID, do the put. If I don't, do the post. And that one's not going to have the ID. And that's not going to be that URL. I feel like I deleted the name of this. Why is this blacked out? Oh, I have an extra curly bracket. See, so now in this handle submit, I can do a, if I have an ID, do the put. If not, try doing the post. And then when either of them are both done and both are successful, navigate to bugs. So now if I go to my new, hello, or let's do a new bug, let's do flu. Virus create. Cool, so now we have our new done. We have new update working. And we have our show going to our show page, which is, you know, someone else could be working on that right now. We just need to do our delete. So let's try our delete the same way. So I'm going to go to my, well, I can't do like with my bugs. I do actually, I'm going to need to do this here. I'm going to need a delete bug function. And I'm going to need to remove it from state here. Any ideas why? Why can't I do that nice little trick that I did with the form and do like the mount? Just grab my data.
Because a mount means you would refresh, right? And you don't want to do that.
The mount essentially means I was on like a different
Page. There's like no navigation involved in this.
Yeah. I will say if you click delete, like let's say let me show you this example just to kind of show you how you can get points. So, and I'll do this two ways. So let's do the delete Axios call in here, which would probably not be the ideal way, but it's definitely not the ideal way, but let's just do it. Const delete bug. This takes an ID. And you know, we do our Axios dot delete. What's that going to be? It's going to be API bugs, and then we'll give it that ID. This needs to be async. Not caps, but just lowercase async. And we can await for that. So on my delete button, I could do on click. delete bug and give it the ID. So here I'm doing the Axios call to delete it in my bug component. So if I click delete, I don't have a try catch. Like, is that working? Is that breaking? I don't know. Let's refresh. Like, that's actually deleting it. You will get some points for that. Like, you come in here, you can say, hey, it actually does delete it. I just need to refresh. Be like, okay, you'll get like a little point for that. But what to get full credit, it's like you're going to want to actually click delete and then it actually delete from your UI. So this is just deleting from
The database.
database. Well, to do that, first of all, my state for bug, I need to remove it from my bug state. That does not live here. So I'm going to take this function that can delete it from the database, and I'm going to add it to my bugs. And then I'm going to pass it down. So now this function is defined in my bugs component, and then I'm going to pass it down as a prop. So now I can go back to my bug component. And now this is not defined, but I've actually passed it down as a prop. I can now pull it off of props. Now this should work the same, where when I click delete, it deletes it, but it just doesn't refresh it.
But then you could also do a set bug. Right?
I could pass down my set bug.
Well, how do you delete? I'm just trying to figure out how to delete it off of the
UI?
Yeah, the UI.
Yeah. Well, now that I have this function running in my bugs component, yeah, now I can update UI. Well, really by that, it's can update bugs, right? Because I can do set bugs, because here I can actually change that state. How do I remove a bug from an array, or how do I remove what method? Do I use filter? I use bugs.filter, go through each bug. Hey, does the bug ID that I'm currently looking at, as long as it does not equal the ID that was given to me to this function, keep it. And what does bugs, if I was doing a math equation, and I said 1 + 1, and I highlighted this, and I said, what is this? What would you say?
Like, what's the answer?
Yeah.
2.
2. What is this? What's the answer? What type of data structure is this going to be?
An array?
Yeah, that's going to be an array of bugs. And if this ID I given it was matched 1, it's going to remove any of the IDs where it matches the ID. So I can just set bugs to that new array. If this helps you visualize it, you can say filtered bugs equals.
Or you could also say that it returns all of the bugs that don't match that ID.
Yeah, it returns all the bugs that don't match the ID.
Say
It puts them in a new array that I'm calling filter bugs. And then I'm going to set the bugs to that state. And when I call the set state from my use state hook, that triggers this to be re-rendered, right? So it updates the state of my bugs, triggers it to be re-rendered. It's not going to call the use effect. It's just going to trigger this to be returned again. So that way now when I click delete, it actually removes it from the database and from my UI. And there we go. Various CRUD actions on the bug model.
And then if you delete everything, but you want to kind of like get some stuff back, you could just reseed real quick, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have our form working now, so you can go in and.
Yeah, you
create-
could just make stuff here.
But yeah, I could also just,
The quick reset could be like a drop in a seed, right?
I could just do a seed.
Okay.
Because I destroy all of them, but yeah, if you wanted to like, I know some of you like to start off, with your IDs all reset, which I don't think that's a bad idea. Yeah, do a reset. And then a seed. And then when I go back to my bugs, I need to start my server. Rails S -P 3001. And now it's like back to that nice clean state. So that would be like, if we're talking about CRUD actions on this first model of bugs, that would be like, this is what you need to do to get full credit. Like the new page, that goes to a new thing. You can come in, you can create a new bug, and it adds it to the state. You want to update it. That takes you to a new form with the stuff pre-populated. You click update, takes you back. Delete just removes it.
So I have a question that might take too long to answer, but I kind of want to ask it anyway.
Okay.
We didn't use a data provider in this project.
No.
So what about what we did here is different than when you use a data provider?
Data providers are nice. There's when we want shared state. So like in my hospital component, like let's say I built out this hospital component and I wanted to get my bugs. I couldn't grab them from this component. Like,
Okay.
so that's where data providers are nice. And then like if I were to come in here and add a new bug, like it would imagine like automatically update it in my hospital. Like if I had.
Yeah, so the data provider is basically kind of like an aside thing where you can store a bunch of stuff essentially, and then you can just grab it and
Yeah.
pull it wherever.
Yeah, but then with my bugs, all of the state is in my bugs component. So like, and think about like this, like these state, you can really only like get it in like your child components. So that's the nice thing about the data provider is our data provider in our index.js, like it's going to wrap everything. So we'll have access to all of our state. But you know, if we just have a bugs component, like you are, that like this hackathon is going to be, there's real no benefit in having this shared state.
Right, but if you were to include hospitals or start to do hospitals, it might be useful.
Well, you're going to do you're going to have hospitals, but where you're going to have a list of hospitals. But once again, the hospital state.
Well, they're not related though, really.
You're not going to be, for this hackathon, you're not going to be using hospital state in your bugs, and you're not going to be using bug state in your hospitals.
Okay.
So these are going to, like, you can think of like this bugs component as its own little separate section of this app, because it's on its own little page. Same with the hospital.
But if you did have a data provider, you would define bugs inside of that, and then you could pull it down using the data provider.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
And that's why I like in the README, I'm kind of like, what do I say? Like, you don't need it. You can use it. It's your choice. So yeah, it's part of this hackathon is and part of coding is like you need to start making like kind of the design, like the coding design decisions of like, how do we want to set this up in code? Because as a client, someone I'm telling you to build this, like, I don't care if you use the data provider or not. Like, I don't even know what that is. I want this. You know, I want it to look like this. It's up to you how to make that work. Cool. Let's take a break. Or I don't know, is this?
Could we talk about style at all, or just like what's convention for if now we want to start adding style? How many people would do it, and like where would we do it?
You're at
You're
this,
not going to get any points, right?
you might get like I don't know, let's say like I don't know how many points it is, but let's say like the hackathon,
Like, what percent would styling
like
affect?
5%. And you would actually get a little bit of styling points for like, you know, adding like this border. And like, we're not looking for anything fancy. So styling is definitely something, maybe it's, and because the nice thing about styling is you can maybe do that at the end. Like you can, because you can't really, it's hard to like, it's more hard to break stuff with styling. Because if you break something with styling, it just looks off. If someone comes in and like, you know, makes a change here, like, oh crap, breaks your whole app. So styling definitely is something to hold off at the end. Like you would not want to start styling now because you still need to do your hospital model and you still need to do your show model. Like that, and we still need to do the home and the about. So there's like so much work to not do styling.
But just out of curiosity, if it were like real world and it was a group project, like how would style normally be handled?
Well, we've learned two ways. We can do class names and do it with CSS, or we can do like inline styling.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of like,
Would it be up to like one person or multiple people?
I mean, you can always do a mix and match, but you probably want to be on the same page. It's like, hey, let's either use class names or let's use inline styling. Let's not do both. But once again, for the hackathon, maybe you just use both. And if it works, it works. Because part of the hackathon is it's one day or it's at 1.5 days. So like coding, like code style can kind of take a back seat. You know, it's really trying to see what can you get done. And you might make some design decisions that, you know, if this project were to last a month, you'd probably not be happy with your decision, but you know, does that make sense? If it's something that will make it work, it's like a Band-Aid fix, do it. So when you get to like your portfolio projects, you're going to want to spend more time thinking about, hey, let's have some conventions. Let's keep our code clean. Let's maybe spend a little time thinking about how we want to code this. So it's definitely it's definitely a learning experience. So cool. Let's take a break. Let's come back at 12 or yes, let's come back 12:30. And we'll just do a little more with the show. Or would you rather just take lunch now? Let's do a little vote. If you're burned out. We kind of went longer yesterday. Should we just take lunch now?
I mean, I'm just doing notes, so it really doesn't, it's up to them.
My vote's on lunch.
Let's do lunch. I feel like we've been going long all this time and it's a long week. So let's take, I'll even give you a little extra time. Let's come back. Let's call it 1:45. So give you a little longer on lunch.
Cool. Do you want to stay and fix this now, or do we fix it later? Because I don't still know what to do. So
I'll leave that up to you. You want to do it now? I'm totally fine to do it now.
Yeah, I'll just knock it out. That way I can actually do something.
Cool.
When we
It's
come
also-
back, is it gonna be lab work or are we gonna keep going here?
It's gonna be lab work.
Okay. Sorry, Brenda, I think I cut you off.
Oh, I was just asking if